Title: The Midnight Serenade. In the heart of the bustling city of Ravenwood, there stood an old, forgotten theater. Once a place of grandeur, where the finest operas and ballets graced the stage, it had long since fallen into disrepair, its doors closed and its halls silent. The townsfolk whispered of a curse, claiming the theater was haunted by the spirit of a heartbroken performer who had vanished on the eve of her final performance. Elena, a young pianist with dreams of performing on the world's greatest stages, had just moved to Ravenwood. She had heard the stories about the abandoned theater, but instead of fear, she felt a strange attraction to it. Something about the place called to her, as if it held the key to the success she so desperately sought. One evening, unable to resist the pull any longer, Elena ventured out to the theater. The city's busy streets gave way to quieter avenues as she approached the decaying building. Its once ornate facade was now cracked and covered in ivy, but Elena could still see the beauty that had once been. The grand entrance doors were locked, but she found a side door that had been left ajar, almost as if inviting her in. Inside, the theater was a shadow of its former self. Dust-covered seats faced a stage draped in tattered curtains, and the air was thick with the scent of must and forgotten memories. Elena made her way to the stage, her footsteps echoing in the vast emptiness. She found an old piano, its keys yellowed with age, yet she felt compelled to sit and play. As her fingers touched the keys, a soft, haunting melody filled the air, a song she had never heard before yet instinctively knew. The music seemed to come alive under her fingertips, each note resonating with a deep, aching sorrow. The theater, which had been silent for decades, now hummed with energy, as if the very walls were listening. As she played, a faint figure appeared at the edge of the stage, a woman in a flowing white dress, her face veiled in shadow. Elena's heart raced, but she couldn't stop playing. The figure moved gracefully, as if gliding on air, her movements in perfect harmony with the music. Elena realized with a start that this must be the ghost the townsfolk had spoken of, the heartbroken performer who had vanished so many years ago. The woman moved closer, her presence becoming more solid, more real with each passing moment. Elena's hands trembled on the keys, but the music continued to flow, as if it had a life of its own. The ghostly woman finally came to a stop beside Elena, her face still obscured by the shadows. "Why are you here?" she whispered, her voice soft but filled with an overwhelming sadness. Elena swallowed, her voice barely audible. "I was drawn here. The music. I can't stop playing." The ghost nodded, her expression unreadable. "This theater was once filled with love and life, but all of that was taken from me. I was betrayed by the one I loved, and in my sorrow, I cursed this place. Now, it is trapped in time, as am I." Elena felt a tear slip down her cheek, the weight of the ghost's sorrow pressing on her chest. "Is there any way to break the curse?" The ghost's eyes, once cold, softened. "There is one way. Play the song to its end, and if your heart is pure, the curse will be lifted. But be warned, if you falter, you too will be trapped here, forever." Elena's heart pounded in her chest. She nodded, determination burning in her eyes. She continued playing, the melody growing more complex, more intense. The ghost watched, her presence now warm, encouraging. As the final notes echoed through the theater, the ghost let out a soft sigh, her form beginning to fade. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice filled with peace. "You have set me free." With that, she vanished, leaving Elena alone on the stage. The theater, once heavy with despair, now felt light, as if a great burden had been lifted. The dust and decay seemed less oppressive, the air clearer. Elena rose from the piano, her hands shaking, but her heart filled with a profound sense of accomplishment. She knew she had done more than just lift a curse, she had given peace to a soul that had been trapped in sorrow for so long. As she stepped out into the night, the theater doors closed behind her with a gentle thud. The old building, now silent once more, seemed to hum with a new energy. Elena knew she would never forget the ghostly woman or the midnight serenade that had freed them both. And from that night on, whenever Elena performed, the memory of the haunted theater lingered in her mind, a reminder of the power of music and the unbreakable bond between love and loss.